Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, back with you for Agatha All Along, episode 6. Boy, did we get an episode. Did I bring up that I was hoping for an episode like this? Like we get to see the perspective of Billy turning into Billy. I don't think I said that exactly, because we didn't know how it would all go down. The biggest question is, how can this be Wanda's son? And we get answers in this episode, quite a few. This episode is titled Familiar by Thy Side. And like I said, it's episode 6 of the series, meaning we got 3 left. And that's only 2 weeks, because the finale is going to be 2 episodes on one night, similar to the opening of the show. I like that. Thanos will be proud of the balance, except maybe he'd want there to be 10. I don't know. This isn't about Thanos. I really like this episode. It reminds me a little bit of the Monica Rambeau episode of WandaVision, where we kind of get to see the Hex getting formed and her perspective of that. And what ends up going down in this episode, we even get to see some of the Hex ourselves. Talk and a great cameo, and there's tons of big moments in this episode. It seems like almost every scene was like a revelation. I was at the end of last week almost positive that was Wanda's kids, but I wasn't sure, so I kind of like left it open-ended. But they literally confirmed it this week on like social media. Billy Maximoff is back. That I probably want to bring people in that haven't started the show, that wrote it off, similar to me. Like I kind of wrote the show off, and they probably should want the general audience to know, like, there's a big part of the story of Wanda Maximoff's kids in this, and you might want to watch this as a fan of Marvel, and if you liked WandaVision. And I don't think anybody really was prepared for how like amazing this show was going to be. I want to get this episode out by 11, when I usually do. And I'm not going to let you in on how close that is. But I'm not going to rush, but we're going to talk about pretty much every moment of this episode in one way or another. So the opening scene is Billy's ceremony. It's a bar mitzvah, and we kind of meet his new parents, Jack and Rebecca, who seem like very nice people. They really do. We're going in with a lot of tension and mystery surrounding Billy's connection to WandaVision and how this even happened. So I wasn't sure how significant him being at a bar mitzvah was, and it was just kind of setting up the character, letting us know this isn't really Billy, but it kind of is. It's a little confusing, but it made a lot more sense to me after watching this episode. Lilia actually gives him a palm reading at this bar mitzvah, and that's kind of crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised, but that she's doing that, but that's crazy. He was a little cautious to enter that tent, and Lilia, her reading was that he had a broken lifeline. Then electricity goes everywhere, like all the lights start flickering, and she gives him some cryptic advice about personal growth. The sigil placed on his mouth, it is given to him by Lilia, and I don't understand that much, to be honest with you. I want to maybe look into that next week. I'm confused if she put the spell on, or all along did Teen know, like, that he was covering up his name and stuff. I don't know. That's the one confusing thing to me, that I would like explained by Screen Crush, who I will watch most likely. And they're my favorite. I always like what they have to say. If you're looking for a great YouTube perspective of the MCU and you don't watch Screen Crush, I would argue that you're missing out on like the best audio visual after show. You're listening to the best audio only after show, and there's no debating that. Anyway, there was chaos going on. Everyone got evacuated from the bar mitzvah because of the Hex being taken down. I don't know why the Hex expanding wouldn't be the thing that makes them run, but I mean, there's clearly a big event happening in the area, and there's a lot of pandemonium, and like his mom's looking out the window at the Hex, so is he. So very quickly, like his dad like in the blink of an eye, gets in like a decently bad car accident, and Billy, in the back seat, he's not Billy, he's William at this point, and we hear his heartbeat, and we hear his heart come to a stop while his parents are looking for help, and just at that moment, we hear Billy and Tommy like saying goodnight to each other, and this is the moment like they went to bed in WandaVision, and Wanda knew she wasn't going to see them again, and he wakes up. He wakes up, and it's not like not super clear, but it is very clear. It's cool. It's like this is how it happened. That he jumped into a dead body. At the end of the episode, Agatha kind of grills him for that a little bit. She tells him he broke the rules. He didn't know the rules. He was just a kid. He's so young. He's like 5 days old, if I'm remembering right. Something he can do that I'm not positive he was able to. I think he did in WandaVision. He's able to read people's minds, but we can hear like the thoughts coming through. And there's this moment where his parents, his new parents, are like trying to just connect with him, and we hear everything in their heads, and it's giving him like an anxiety attack pretty much. Even the dog that's barking at him, his dog, it knows it's not William, it's a different person, and the parents feel eerie about it, knowing it's amnesia. It's just something really off. So you've really got to feel for his parents. They still love him, they still take care of him, and nothing changes. I mean, they don't know that it's Billy Maximoff, and he kind of had to play into the part of William for a while, but we get 3 years later, and Billy is actually starting to do a little bit of research, trying to find out about Agatha, trying to find out about anything he can find out about Westview, and we get the return of the one, the only, Evan Peters, Ralph Bohner. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Ralph Bohner in the house. He sort of plays this comedic part, but it's also very sad. He's very broken by what happened in Westview. He had his house taken over by Agatha, so that was his house. He said being tortured by Agatha was not as bad. I don't know how he'd know this. Was nowhere near as bad as being tortured by Agatha to Wanda and what she was doing. Like he was under her control. He was her puppet. And I don't know if we knew that about Agatha. Agatha can actually control people or make them like do what Wanda did on a smaller level, put them in a role. And like that's something Agatha definitely underplayed, or we didn't get to see much of in WandaVision. And Ralph like explains like Agatha took over his life, his house. Like he's very bitter, and he even admits that he was a bad influence on Billy and Tommy. And this is where like Agatha comes up because, teen, I keep wanting to call him that, Billy is curious. Like Agatha's still there, and Ralph Bohner knows that like, yeah, she's trying to blend in like civilian life or something like that. He gives them just about what they need to know. I am slightly aware of how fast I'm going through this. Hey, we got a feedback page, really easy. You just go to our episode description and then click the feedback link, and you can send a positive review, your take on the episode. Did you know it was Billy all along? The whole show. When did it become clear to you? Don't hesitate. It takes a second, and you'll be featured on the show. If you don't want to be featured on the show, just say so, and we still love to hear from you. You may hear a little urgency in my voice. I'm very excited about this episode. Me learning how to get this podcast done in time. I take my time with my podcast. I like to know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes I'll watch the episode twice or something like that. And here we are talking about my process instead of the show. I'm just being honest with you, audience members, friends, maniacs alike. This is like what I'm going through right now. So we all saw the episode. So I don't want to like make it. I write it sometimes so it's like, oh my God, I'm dropping the revelation. Like we all know about the revelation. Like the revelation happened on the episode we all just watched together. This is when Billy decides to head to Westview and confront Agatha. And we've seen this side of the story we've seen this side of the story from Agatha, but we really get to see just how messed up she was under her spell, and how different. Like, she was in a crime scene investigation room when she first was interrogating him, and then in this scene in this show, it was in Ralph Boner's living room. The events start to very quickly move to present day because we can kind of piece together. We remember the rest of the show. So it cuts back to right after Agatha was pushed in the mud. Only she was able to get out. Like, she was able to claw her way out of the mud. But Lilia and Jen, we don't see. So, you know who we also don't see? Aubrey Plaza, Rio, who's been very highly speculated on screen crushing new rock stars to be Lady Death. What if Rio / Lady Death resurrects Thanos and gets Thanos really into death, knowing he was dead for all this time and came back, and that would be a really cool thing to happen. Like, because that's how Infinity War was in the comics. It could be a really cool secondhand Thanos story, one that's more faithful to the comics with our equally amazing evil antagonist. I'm trying to call him protagonist. But he's gone. He's confronting Agatha. He breaks in her house. We're back to the episode. Sorry about that. It's cool revisiting the events and to be caught up and on his perspective, because, you know, he might have also recognized Alice, who came to their window. Was she a cop? I miss a lot about Alice's story. I'm pretty sure she was a cop because she was a security guard when we met her. Agatha, at the end, kind of like ironically like says, "Wow, what a big outing for your first big outing," you know. And she's very mocking towards him about his identities, his power. She compares him to Wanda multiple times, and like, he wants to walk the road alone. He doesn't need Agatha anymore. He tells Agatha that I don't need you anymore. You figured Jen and Lilia would come out of the like mud like Agatha did, but no, that didn't happen. And where the heck is Rio? You know? But Billy says, if I walk the road with you, I don't trust you at all whatsoever, ever. Like I said, he's like very definitive about him not wanting to like Agatha or be on her side. He does not like Agatha. Like, it's official. This episode was very whimsical. It was a little bit slower, but the emotional weight and toll on the character of Teen / Billy and understanding his powers and his motivations, it made up for a really fun episode, stepping outside the kind of basic structure of these last few trial episodes. Similar to episode 1 and 2, we get this one kind of filling in blanks, similar to how they did that in WandaVision 2. And I love that the teams are still connecting those shows, seeing the hacks, hearing about the hacks, having that be very directly influenced by how William becomes Billy. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. He jumped into a dead man's body. So that's just, I'm still shocked over that. I was just still shocked over that. He has powers, but I don't think he's in control of them. Like, I don't think he would have sent Lilia and Jen down the mud pit into the mud, like, consciously and knowingly. I just don't think he would have done that. It looked like his powers were a little bit like out of control, because he tried to summon a little bit of power to threaten Agatha when she was mocking him, and he couldn't do it, and she took note of that. And he tells her, well, you know it's there. We know it's there too. I don't know what is next on the Witch's Road. I expect a reunion. I've heard a rumor. I think I read this on a Facebook thread. Okay. If there's somebody who really wants to take credit for this rumor, I am admitting that I did not come up with this, but I don't know who to credit for it. So I'm just going to let you know this is not an original thought, but it's very interesting. So it's a theory. It's kind of a spoilery theory, because I really think this would make the most sense, but it's not like it's set in stone or anything. Okay, so Agatha will make it to the end of the road. So will Billy. I think we will find Tommy. But for Agatha herself, she's going to have to ask for her powers back. That's kind of what her journey is. Selfish journey to get her powers back. I was asking last week, how can we redeem Agatha as a character after she did that to Alice? How? Just how? Well, this theory would kind of fix that. Instead of getting her power back, Agatha at the end of the road, whoever they ask or confront or talk to, the wizard behind the curtain of this Wizard of Oz, she's going to ask for her new coven back and bring them back to life. So maybe all of them are dead, technically now, except for Rio. No speculation at all on anyone's part on what Rio is doing during all this. Part of me wonders if Agatha knows that she's collecting the body of Alice, because it's very speculated on Screen Crush that she's Lady Death and not just the Green Witch, What comes next is trials and tribulations. I just wouldn't expect, I guess it would be kind of cool to see Agatha and Billy do a trial together and have to work together under these circumstances. He's really mad that she killed Alice. He does not trust her. He's made that clear. I really want to see that redemptive moment. She can redeem herself by bringing the coven back. Will it fully redeem her? No, but it's probably the best thing for the character. If she gets her powers at the end, it would also be kind of cool because she sticks to the bad guy through and through, and it's a true anti-hero show. I just don't know how this is going to play out, and that's what's making this show so good. Where is it going from here? So I don't want to give theories because I don't have any. I'm just floored by this episode. This was a really fun one. The next episode probably going to be even better. Now that this is under our belts, the next trial will come. The next trial is as questionable to me as it is to you. I never know what's coming, which I kind of love. Is Tommy going to come through? And how will Tommy come through? Will Tommy have to find a body? Like, did he? Maybe he already is somebody. It's crazy to think about. This has been Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. I'm your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest. Maybe one of our shortest episodes ever made, but I feel like I got all the bits and pieces that we want to talk about in. I personally am not going to delete and restart this episode, but I will say I do feel like I rushed it a little bit. So in future weeks, I'm going to try and slow it down. But I did get through everything. What's really important for me right now as a podcaster, being completely upfront with you, is to be getting episodes out on the same time every week. That gives me a better chance of being read by the algorithms, and it builds more of a trust between me and you, the audience. So if I come off a little rush this episode, I'm sorry. I'm working on it. And you are always welcome to leave constructive feedback, theories, anything you want, something you want me to cover from the MCU that I haven't covered yet. Just go to the description of this episode and hit the feedback link, and it brings you right to an easy page. All you do is leave your email and say whatever you want. Just not mean things. It hasn't been used for that yet. Don't use it for evil. Use it for good. Walk the witch's road as Billy would. I like how Agatha even said, she kind of complimented him, "You're a witch." He's a witch. He wants to be a witch, and he is a witch. A male witch, which I always thought was a sorcerer. But in this world, in this universe, it's not like that. It's different. Then she starts leaving and walking down the road, and she says, "Last one to the next place is nice, a nice person." And she leaves, and then as she's walking away, Billy says, "I'm not that nice of a person." And it's like, ooh, dang, tension is lifted. I was about to sign off before, but I remember that moment. I'm glad I included that. The last 3 episodes are sure to be one heck of a ride. Be on the lookout for my Friday episode where we cover movies and do theories and trailer reactions. This week, we are going to be covering Spider-Man Homecoming, an all of its glory. All the new Spider-Man movies are going to be covered individually, and we're starting with Homecoming because we're getting closer and closer to our 100th episode, our special Civil War. No, it's not Civil War, Infinity War. It's my favorite movie of all time, and I said it wrong. Our Infinity War episode is episode 100. I am actually working on getting some very special guests. Not that TJ and Dustin aren't the most insanely special, and I don't love them at all. I love them so much. I'm just working on getting a new guest, and I'm not going to say anything at all until the episode shows up. And then if we get there and there's no new guest, you're just going to have to forget, because I didn't get that guest, and I had to go through that. Not you. No, I'm just kidding. I've never overstayed my welcome more. Thank you for being here again. My feedback to myself is not to close the episode 5 times in a row. But remember to hit that feedback button, give us a positive rating, and I'll see you Friday talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Until then, Avengers, disassemble.